track of which way I'm going. I ain't gonna double back, no. Don't wanna misplay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to the Robb Crocker Show, featuring myself, Alexander Gonzalez, and of course, Jared Burrows, JB, as always, in the studio.
Always, yeah.
How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Gonzo?
I'm doing just fine. And of course, I want to introduce you to the man of the hour, the Robb Crocker himself. How are you doing?
Living life. If it's not black, it's got to be white.
Absolutely. I'm getting a lot of feedback on there, so let me see if I can work with you to fix that. Was that like that before?
No, it sounds like there's two mics going on. Direct echo.
What you got now?
Can you turn your volume down a bit, maybe?
Muted.
Oh, well, then you can't hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's just really echoey right now. Let's see.
The joys.
I know, the joys of technology. It's okay. Bear with us, guys. We'll work on it.
How about now?
No, that's the same.
It sounds like there's two
What about now?
mics.
That is the same. Try it again.
Yep. How about now?
That's a little better.
Oh, I hate it, guys. It's battle out there. You can't hear me.
That's a lot better, so we'll work with that. Anyway, back to the main topic. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. Crocker has informed me that there's a wizard among us. So I've been told. What is that all about?
I just think, like, there's a curtain. And none of us know who, what, when, and where is pulling the string for the life that we're pawned in the life that where we are. Someone tells us when, how, and where to move. Whether that's social media, news organizations, but from the history of time, there's been entities that have controlled this world. I know that there's a lot of conversation right now about the former president and the auto pen. Well, before that ever came into play, there were, and there still are, 5 to 7 families who rule the United States / the world. So concentrate on the United States. And you can, if you know any of these families and feel like you want to interject, help yourself. The DuPont family, chemicals, Cargill family, they control the food sources for the whole world. They control global grain. Then you've got the Cokes. Then you've got the Mellon, which is old oil. Just, these are people that you don't hear about on it. Then you've got the Tisch family, who was Lowe's Corporation, UPS. Then you have the Walmart, the greatest global entity there is. I don't know that you can ask anyone and they won't know what Walmart is. And it's not just, when I say Walmart, Waltons, they own the space. They own or have their hand in everything in the world. And then you have the Bloombergs, who literally, the stock market runs on the software they created. So are you familiar with any of those families?
I mean,
Jared loves those families.
yeah. I mean, we're very familiar with the families, but we don't necessarily
we went to
know.
shit there.
We don't know
What's wrong?
what's wrong.
Man,
Can you hear us?
are we any better?
Yeah, no, we can hear you fine now. Can you hear us? Nope.
Can you hear me now?
No, yeah, we can hear you.
Can't hear you.
Okay, hold on.
Interesting.
What about now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. No, you sounded great the whole time. I made a joke. I said Jared loves all those families. They're his favorite families. Go ahead.
Most certainly. I mean, those are definitely our favorite families. I mean, I would argue there's probably more bloodlines that are included, but we don't necessarily know all of them. You know, there might be a few others that are may or may not be mentioned. We don't have to mention them if you don't want to, but we don't know them personally, but I definitely believe that the bloodlines do run the majority of the world, like 99% of the world.
Those families I just mentioned own more land in the world than anyone else. So whether the stroke of a deck, they're grabbing someone's attention, and in lieu of that, they're going to want something on the back end after that. So this goes back to the old adage: you rub my shoulder, and I'll palm your hand. And when I say palm your hand, I mean give you money.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it all comes down to that, though, doesn't it?
Money rules the world. It's that old adage I learned a long time ago. My gold, my rules. That's how Washington is run. That's why you have the lobbyists. Money, rubbing shoulders, putting it in the hand. That dictates how we got to live our life. And it's unfortunate that we're in that situation. And the reason I wanted to talk about that to start the show, because we had a president who was in office that was a figure that we saw occasionally at the White House. We saw more predominantly at the beach in Delaware. So that leads to who was telling the wizard what to do. Who was there controlling the decisions that were being made for JB, for Gonzo, for myself, and the rest of the people in the United States of America? Do you have any idea? No.
What do you think, Jared? Who is really in control of what is going on the back end?
You mentioned the last president. Are you talking about that person specifically, or today?
No, I mean,
2025.
I think he's talking. Who runs the guy that runs the guy that runs him? Who's the mastermind behind it all?
I don't think it's just one person. I think it's backed by many facades of like the banking system, the centralized banking system, as well as religion mixed in together. There's different people that work together. I don't think there's just one person.
What I think is this is the reason there's so much hatred for Donald Trump. Because he doesn't have his hand out for the take. He has his hands out wanting to give back to America. So it goes back to who is putting out the volume of what the people in this country are hearing. He was just treated phenomenal in the Middle East. But then he comes back here and he's accused of being corrupt. taking something for himself, where he is the first president who is putting America first, not a political party. That's the difference in what I don't think people see. And that's why I think it's so disingenuous when you hear reporters saying the things they say about him, because he really doesn't give a damn what they're saying. All he cares about is what we're thinking and how we're feeling. Is our pocketbook, is our life getting better? Where the prior administration didn't give a rat's ass about it. We had someone walking around in circles. He was guided by an Easter bunny on Easter. This is why I keep asking the question: who was making the decisions running the company? Was it staffers? Was it, hell, they had a press secretary who came out and said that Joe Biden ran circles around her.
What a joke, right?
This is what and where I think it's the time for this administration, and I'm not into wasting money investigating, but this has to be the line that's got to be drawn and say, look, we know something was amiss. I don't know if either one of you have heard him on the video when he was with her talking about the documents. He didn't even know where he was. He didn't even know what year he. So the people that were around him need to be held accountable, because they misguided all of us. It's a joke.
Yeah, I think you're on to something with, obviously, he had staffers that were really kind of controlling what he was doing day to day, covering for him, making sure he was doing certain things, from point A to point B, even though he had to drift off to C a little bit, bring him back around. But obviously there's people that are telling these staffers what to do, and there's higher echelons, so to say, people that are in charge, and the information is coming down and the orders are coming down, and then they get into Biden. Because we know that realistically Biden wasn't the president, I would say, because he's not really in charge. He's not really making decisions.
I got a message that the Black Messiah was the one pulling the strings.
A lot of people think
Do
that.
you know who that is?
Of course, it was the only African-American president that we've had. Supposedly. Or
could have been several other people. Could have been Kamala Harris.
No. That was a joke, right? That was funny.
That's the best.
The problem is they had to have two groups of staffers.
Okay.
One for him and one for her.
Gonzo, sorry. If the three of us go out and I notice that JB's acting dumber than he actually always acts, and I tell you, hey Gonzo, something's wrong with JB, what are you going to do? Smoke it off?
I'm going to say no, nothing's wrong with JB. He is in perfect mental health. He's actually running circles around me as we speak.
But yes, Gonzo would definitely say we're gonna have a cigar and smoke it off.
I get what your point is, though.
So, how do you go back to people right now who are saying, yeah, he was in decline and I did nothing about it? This is the one that I think is the most painful. Everyone knows I'm not a fan of Joe Biden's.
Really?
But I'm a fan of humanity. This is a man who had on staff doctor with him 24/7. And you cannot tell me that after that doctor swore an oath that he was going to do what's right for the rest of his life as being a doctor. And he led Joe Biden down a path since 2014. He had not had a PSA test to see or check about prostate cancer.
No, absolutely not. They've known for a fact that he's had prostate cancer. You cannot convince me. Like you said, dude basically is getting checked on all the time. He's now in his 80s. He's obviously going to be checked on medically more than you or I. You cannot convince me that they didn't know he had cancer until just this past week.
You think he actually does have cancer, or is it a cover-up?
Well, let's say he does. They're also saying that the cancer has reached his bones. That doesn't happen overnight. So they've known this for quite a long time. And I don't know if you saw the clip from a while ago. It's now kind of making sense where he was giving a speech and it slipped out. He said, that's why a lot of people from my hometown, like including myself, have cancer. And of course, Joe Biden being Joe Biden and saying all this nonsense, we say, okay, maybe that's just one of the other things that he's confused about. Maybe he slipped, whatever. But now it's starting to make more sense. Now everyone's kind of going back and saying, wait a minute, he did say this a while back. He did let that one slip.
Now's where I'm taking us down a curve. Is everyone afraid the truth is fixing to come out and Joe Biden could be eliminated before it does?
I mean, by the cancer, or?
By the man behind the curtain.
The same person that, I mean, wait, Epstein killed himself. So, but you're talking about that guy, right?
I'm talking about that guy where the people know too much. Somehow they always get eliminated. It's kind of ironic that a lot of things are happening and he used to have a lot of knowledge. Whether he can actually comprehend what's going on is beyond me. But it's just ironic that all of this is happening at once. Especially when the auto pen came into play, all of these people, his wife. I guess she loved power so much that she didn't care about her husband.
No.
And I say this softly as I can, because I am a black-hearted man. But the man deserves better to finish his life.
I do, yeah, I think, I mean, he's definitely been a part of the establishment, the elites. I think he has been a part of that group. He was in politics for 40 years, let's be honest. But regardless, I don't think that he deserved what he got in terms of basically, in my opinion, being abused. I don't think that was deserving of him. And to answer your question previously, I think that at this point, quite honestly, is Joe Biden even a threat to the big guys?
It's all a distraction.
Like, is that even important, or are they gonna be keeping an eye on people that are actually coherent and actually remember what they ate?
But is it really Joe Biden got so? It's amazing that the words Hunter Biden have gone away. All of the corruption that was there has just stopped. So no one gonna see if it actually was real. Hell, I'll give you $5 million, Gonzo.
Okay.
Don't tell nobody. Somehow give it to JB. Let JB turn it into 50 and give me back 25. And you keep 25.
Let's do it tomorrow.
All right. I like that idea, JB.
No, but in all seriousness, I think right now, given the administration we have, obviously a lot of the corruption that we are able to see is going to take a step back, meaning we're not going to see as much right now. They're going to be a little more careful about what they let the public see. Now, that doesn't
But
mean
that's what pisses me off.
that doesn't mean that
We
the corruption is
talked about
gone.
This was going to be a transparent, which they have been. Hell, they had news media everywhere Trump went, which I think is very good. It's open and honest to the American citizen. But when the news media betrays it in a derogatory way, there lies the problem.
Yeah.
So, yes, this administration is very transparent. But what about all the information that they were going to give the United States citizens, which we haven't seen?
Right. And in terms of that, it's kind of like what I'm saying. I feel like the establishment and the elites, they had to take a step back, and we've talked about this before on the show, kind of scrambling to get things back in order and kind of hide some things. And so I think right now the Trump administration people in the Trump administration are realizing that certain information that they wanted to share is harder to obtain right now than maybe they had thought. So I think that, like, you're right. The Trump administration has done a pretty good job at being transparent, but they're running into the pitfall of not being able to get the information as easily as they may have anticipated, because the other side is doing their best to backtrack and hide everything they can.
So, who is the man or woman behind the curtain hiding all this?
Saying it, I think, will get us removed off of YouTube, honestly, to tell you the truth.
Well, I know a guy.
I would say that
We'll call Elon.
if you're going to pin it on one entity, I would say it all derives from Satan himself.
It's a very, yes.
It's what?
It derives from Satan itself.
correct
If we're going to
answer.
pin it on one person all the way back,
Okay.
that's who it goes
You
back
know what,
to.
then? I dance with the devil, and I walk with the angels, so I'll ask him tonight when I lay my head down and I go to bed.
Can you ask him to take a break?
I'll ask him to make sure that JD gets the $25 million that we talked about.
Heck yeah.
We all need a money tree.
Yeah, he's gonna tell
You
you.
know the
He's,
little
he's
things
gonna
you
tell
buy?
you. He's gonna tell you need to sell your soul for that, though.
There's a song about that.
Yeah, and there's plenty
lot
of
of,
evidence that many artists did that.
Well, I'm not selling my soul because I like the path that I walk. I feel very comfortable with my relationship with Jesus Christ. I don't need anybody else to tell me what or how to go down that path because I overcome a lot of obstacles on a daily basis. Now, whether it's from Satan or just ignorant people, I have to overcome. But I just wanted everyone to think about who actually is behind the curtain.
Okay, so do you have an idea or an answer that you want to share, like who you think it is?
Is this going to be our last episode?
What is that? How do you get to the next? We'll talk about it next week.
What, you're gonna postpone that answer?
I think my answer is going to hurt people's feelings.
When did you start caring?
I really don't give a fuck, to be quite honest with you. So, JB, can I let her rip?
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. When the former FBI director, James Comey, walks on a beach and miraculously finds shells stationed in a certain position, I've walked down the beach my whole freaking life, and I've never seen shells spell out anything that had any type of bearing with that director. James Comey just showed up at my house.
You're right. I usually only see this kind of coincidence in my alphabet soup.
Oh my god.
What did he say?
He's only seen.
So this
Oh my
this
God.
type of coincidence, mathematically, I usually only see in my alphabet soup. But go on, go on.
So that is one of the lead examples. He was in the White House working for President Trump, completely working behind the scenes to disrupt the country. So there is an entity in Washington, D.C. that is working against the country and the American people because they want chaos, because it breeds chaos. And it keeps the monkeys, which is all of us, in our place. As long as they are elevated and are on their cliff, they don't give a damn about us. And I don't want to name names, but there's a lot of names. Who have you not heard from? Who have you not seen? Those are the people to worry about. Because they're hiding in the weeds to strike us when they think we are the most vulnerable.
Scott Norris says, see the first comment. So if everyone watching wants to scroll to the very first comment, that's his answer. I'm sure Rob can guess what kind of answer it is.
Say something what?
No, this one right here. Always. He refers to them as the tribe. I said it. I said it.
Easy. I'm closing the show about that statement now.
Okay.
Only one of us is wearing a hat.
It's a Black Heart Gear hat, actually, mind you.
Oh, thank God.
Black Heart Gear.
What are you drinking?
I'll tell you what I'm drinking here in a minute. Right after I tell you about what I'm wearing. Black Heart Gear. Drip. Straight drip on this hat. And I'm drinking, of course, the best whiskey in all of Colorado and soon to be the rest of the world. Branch and Barrel. Not to be confused with Blend and Barrel. Branch and Barrel. The flagship, actually, I'm drinking tonight. And, of course, as always, the Cigar guys are also here in the building. Those are the top 3 businesses in the world today. You were saying?
And we always are right.
Yes.
So we're going to switch to where everybody's got it in their mind right now. Who's the man or woman behind the curtain? Because we know that there's an entity out there that's controlling society. Do we agree with that?
No, yeah, for sure. I'm just waiting for you to tell us
All
what it
right,
is.
so now that we know that someone's controlling society, it was announced today that we, as in the United States of America, is going to get the Golden Dome. Which means there's going to be satellites up in the sky that have the ability to shoot back at America and destroy whatever's coming at us. Which I don't know anything and everything that's 100%. So it kind of worries me that living in Florida, living in North Carolina, around a lot of military establishments where shit can go wrong, and I don't want to be anywhere near it when it does. So if something's coming in to Jacksonville, Florida, and all of a sudden someone or AI decides, you know what, we got to shoot that down. Well, we missed it. We shot my favorite restaurant,
No.
the Vineyard.
No.
and I happen to be in there eating. I'm not interested in that. So how and what are your thoughts on the Golden Dome?
I think if they have an Iron Dome, why can't we have a Golden Dome?
Well, how many times is... I'm trying not to cuss as much. How many times does the Iron Dome not work?
Well, that's because it's the Iron Dome. We are going to have the Golden Dome. And everyone knows gold is way better than iron. You got iron, you got silver, you got gold, and you got platinum. We're not quite ready for the platinum yet, so we're going to start with the gold. I think that we could create a sort of defense like this that would work better. I think that our defense right now, just generally speaking, the United States military, the United States defense is extraordinary. And just like Scott Norris just said, the Golden Dome will take care of it.
You realize when you get drunk and you go to the bathroom, whether you hit your head on a porcelain toilet, an iron toilet, or a gold toilet, it's going to knock you out.
Okay, but
Pay attention.
so you're saying that the Golden Dome is going to backfire on us?
I think it can potentially be manipulated through, does your iPhone mess up on you?
Yeah, but I think we're comparing two completely different pieces of
Yes or no
technology.
question. Does it mess up?
Yeah, sometimes it glitches, sure.
I mean, everything glitches.
Coinbase, right now, is getting more spam to all their customers. They've been hijacked to where hackers are requesting, I think it's 20 million or 200 million. So if there's a satellite in the sky that relies on some type of computer, yes, it can get hacked, and the next thing you know, we're getting shot at by our own side.
I don't know. It's never happened to Israel.
Because we don't have a fucking satellite. So let's try it. Let's just go. We'll all three be together. And we'll out there be kumbaya by a campfire.
At least we'll have a view. But no, I mean, I think that we're kind of comparing, like, you're comparing the Golden Dome or the Iron Dome to, like, the cloud. They're completely different things. I get where you're going with it, but
If you
it's
walk
so much
outside
deeper than
after
that.
this show tonight, and you look up, you can see satellites orbiting. That's what's going to be up there to control this scenario. I don't even know what type of armory that they would shoot, whether it's a laser. It has to be something that would interact to stop it, because you can't have a satellite up there with armory to shoot down whenever you think it's going to do. It's not like the nuclear weapons that are in the ground that shoot up.
Supposedly.
So what's going to... Exactly. So what and how will it work?
I don't know. I'm not an aerospace engineer. We should have brought Zach on this one. He's probably worked on it. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Oh, we went from
But-
who runs the world to the Golden Dome.
My gold, my rule. The United States of America. But when you have people that are smarter, that live in little huts in India, Pakistan, and other foreign entities that hate America, they're in a room trying to figure out a way to fuck us up. Plain and simple.
So, are you talking about the same Indians that are trying to hack my Coinbase? Or are you talking about, like, a different level of the government that is trying to come after our defense?
I'm thinking that with blockchain technology and all of the other things that are out there that are able to be hacked, people will be working on a scenario to do that.
But at the same time, too, people, if that's the case, they're doing the same thing with our current technology, with our internet capabilities, with our hardware, with whatever it is. And as of yet, I'm not saying it's impossible, but we haven't seen. This kind of goes back to a conversation I think we had last week or maybe the week prior. You have to have a certain level of trust in order to function. You can't just 100% doubt everything. You have to be able to get in your car and have faith that it is going to start every time you hit the engine. Unless you have a really old car, then you're kind of asking for it. But my point is, you start the engine, it's supposed to start, you're supposed to start driving. You go outside, the sun's going to come up every day, and it's going to go down every night. So I think that at the end of the day, these things too at the same time are out of our control. So we just kind of have to be like, listen, if we have good people in place that are trying to implement a system that can help us, I don't have an issue with it as long as they know what they're doing, as long as they have the certain precautions in place. And if you look at the track record of the United States military and the United States defense, it's the best in the world still.
But here's why I'm bringing it up, guys. The United States government is not going to create this. It's going to be created by SpaceX, Palantir, RTX, Lockheed Martin, L3, all of these companies who have employees working for them are going to create, who have the ability to put something in this system for someone else to log on. They control it.
Yeah, but this has been going on since the internet, DARPA.
Here you go, guys. As simple as I just described that, one person has the ability to put that key in there and give it to someone else. Just like the maintenance worker who let 11 people escape out of the jail in New Orleans because his life was threatened, supposedly. But regardless, pressure, when someone is threatened, if you do not do this for me, I'm going to eliminate him. This is why I'm saying, I hear you, Gonzo, about the security. I hear you about all of the things that we're talking about. But it goes back to the man or woman behind the curtain.
Can't be a woman.
Jay, you might get canceled tonight.
Why would you say that?
I don't think it's just one person. I think that there are many groups of people that all work together that run the world.
Yeah. I don't think it's one person. I think it's a group of people, if you want to call them that are working together for essentially evil, super greed, but mainly just evil in general. Total control, total global control.
You guys are a little bit young. Is there anything that comes across in your life that you smell on a daily basis that reminds you of being a kid?
Like fresh cut grass or rain. Maybe.
No other sense?
I don't know. What are you alluding to?
Yeah, I don't.
I bought a new deodorant, and I don't typically use aerosol deodorant, but I bought it, and I was like, all right, use this, and it smelled like right guard and reminded me of my grandfather when I was a kid, like 6 or 7 years old. It just had that aroma, so it took me back that far when I smelled that today. So that's where I was going with.
Yeah, I mean that happens to me like quite a bit. Those were the two like things I could think of that were kind of reoccurring. But every once in a while, I have an instance where like I walk into a room, or someone, I don't know, lights a candle and it reminds me of a memory from like when I was a kid. But for me, it's always like fresh cut grass reminds me of like playing outside, and then like when rain, that smell when rain's coming.
Yeah, that or like nostalgically old music that comes on the radio or Spotify, Apple Music.
What's old music, JD? What would be old music?
50s, 60s, 70s, things that my grandparents used to listen to, things like that.
Like what was the music? Because I love music, all varieties, from country to soul to rock to. It's like the other day, a Jimmy Buffett song came on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Of my mom playing a record of Jimmy Buffett. Of just remembering that. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say old music like Justin Bieber or no.
Justin Bieber could come on the radio and I would not know it's Justin Bieber.
That's a good thing. You're not missing out.
So, but music has become. We've had some guys on the show with music. Music's changed. It's not what it was. I don't know if it's lost the soul.
Yes.
But it's lost me. I don't know that I could go to. I don't even know what new music is. I was at my son this weekend was playing. Stepson was playing, and he played what I classify as surf punk, and it was still loud. Still couldn't understand the words, but it was music.
No, I think music, especially 2000, it's very, very especially 2015 beyond, has been just complete, utter nonsense for the most part. And all the really good songs are usually from artists that aren't well known. They aren't promoted as much, because we could talk about the music industry too. I mean, that's a whole nother entity of people controlling stuff from behind the scenes. The music industry right now is pushing total garbage, and it's intentional. But I mean, songs that were hits way back in the day generally were actual good songs with good lyrics you could resonate with. The instruments were on par or beyond that. I mean, now it's just total nonsense, but it's on purpose. I think they're pushing nonsense to kind of brainwash the younger generation, quite honestly.
But it goes back to the man behind the curtain. I'm 55-year-old. I like Ryan Upchurch. He is a country rapper, but then he's also released classic country songs. And he just released a new album called Creaker 3, which is rock and roll. And I kind of dig it. And he's an independent artist out of Nashville, grew up right there, constantly has controversies with mainstream music, which I kind of like. I like the fact he's a rebel, but it reminds me of the Johnny Cash's, the Willie Nelson, the Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings, and shout out to a guy like Ryan Upchurch, who wants to drive his own bus, doesn't want to be on someone else's. I think that's great.
Yeah, props to him. It's definitely.
Have either one of you ever heard Ryan Upchurch?
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, I mean, it's hard to be independent nowadays, especially.
Well, he's definitely doing it via social media,
Yeah.
however he's doing it. Hats off to the guy because it's good stuff. Can you pull up a Ryan Upchurch song?
I'm sure I could, yeah. Ryan,
And then we're going to close out with JD's favorite.
Scott Norris says Ryan Upchurch sucks.
From what I,
Oh, he deleted the comment.
The only poison I've had is ivy. The only man I fear is God. No snakes can make me run now, 'cause I've been bit by a moth.
That is Holler Boys by Upchurch.
good. What's funny about that is Luke Combs, who is probably 100-fold more famous than Ryan Upchurch right now, was in a song/video with him, and there was a Confederate flag in the background, and Luke Combs' new management/publicity company did everything they could to distance himself from it. Where I don't believe Ryan Upchurch is anything more than just a historian, loves where he came from, and has no ill will toward it. But I'll listen to the music.
Yeah.
We got any comments, anything else tonight? Or is Scott the only person watching?
No, we've got a few people in here. Esteban's actually joined us for the first time in a while. Always great to hear from you. He sends blessings as always. And of course, yeah, you have Scott in here. He's talking trash about Upchurch. But that's his opinion. He says,
Everybody got one. Guess what? Tell them, JD.
Tell him what?
We're always right.
some of us more than others. Who is it? We'll find out next week.
All right, well, I want to talk about my favorite restaurant, other than us being in there and missile shoot at us. The quality of food, the quality of service, and the attention to detail is amazing. If you're ever in the greater Orlando area, please visit the Vineyard. Go in, ask for Mr. Jones, and tell him that Crocker sent you.
Robbie
Or
Jones.
Gonzo. Or JB.
Yes. Highly recommend you go to the Vineyard. It's fantastic food.
For lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch, it's always entertaining. You've got Mike and Lauren in there, and they will not disappoint.
And they have a designated cigar table outside. You're welcome.
Cigar guys.
We're everywhere.
One of the things, the reason I brought that up, how everything has become legal. If you or JB or myself went into the Vineyard and we ordered a burger and fries, and the waitress brought you a burger with onion ring, do you think you have the right to sue the Vineyard or any restaurant for misleading you and bringing you something you got order?
So, like, if they advertise a burger and fries, but they brought you burger and onion rings, you're saying?
I'm just saying, the reason I bring this up is there's a man right now who is suing Whataburger because he went to the drive-thru and just ordered, let's say, a number 3, which the number 3 was burgers and fries.
Okay.
He drove off, and his order was burger and onion rings. So now has hired legal counsel to sue Whataburger because he got the wrong food.
So, he has the right to sue, absolutely. The legal team that took this case is probably not going to be around very much longer because, really, you're going to sue Whataburger because some likely teenager minimum wage worker put onion rings in your bag instead of fries. I don't see that going over well, quite honestly, no.
It sounds like a individual is looking for their 15 minutes of fame, honestly.
Maybe they'll get the $5 million before I do. But I highly doubt it.
That's just where we are in society. And I don't know if it's because of the age. Like we talked about last, we don't have youth that are out working who understand the difficulty of what it's like to do something that's hard. They want it given to them.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of the laziness that newer generations are suffering from. The spreading of information is a good thing because people can learn a lot, but it's also a bad thing in the sense that there's a lot of people that are learning these quote unquote tricky ways to try and, make money from suing a chain because the one store accidentally gave you onion rings instead of fries. So it's like, it's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, we can all agree that the younger generations are something else, if we can just put it that way.
I agree with that statement. I ran into someone today who was probably in his mid-20s, and he was out working his ass off. He knew how to operate logging equipment. He knew how to do multiple things. But his dad owned that. He knew when he graduated high school that he wasn't going to college, and this was going to be his future. But everybody else out there was old. That's what you're finding in society now on hard, labor-intensive jobs. This goes back to why it's important that we figure out a way to intertwine the illegal people. And when I say illegal, they crossed to the country, but they've been a staple of society. Let's figure out a way to blend them in instead of saying we're going to export everybody. Because you cannot export everybody. It just will not work. It will be detrimental to the United States of America. Plain and simple. I know you don't agree with me.
Not entirely, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, one thing about that, I like what the government is doing, that they are requiring all truckers who are delivering things across the country, it's mandatory that they speak English. Whether they're legal or illegal, I do believe that English should be the language of America. Plain and simple.
Yes, I agree with that, for sure. When you go to, like Miami, and they get mad at me because I don't speak Spanish. This doesn't make sense. You're in my country.
I'm mad at you that you don't speak Spanish.
I went to a Mexican restaurant within the past week. I spoke more Spanish than my waitress. And I'm like, I want somebody here taking care of me who comprendes español.
Was this in Lake Mary?
No, I was something else. I basically said, necesito cornito aquí, por favor. And he looked at me like, what did you ask for? I want one Corona. So, anyway, that's where we are with that. I think we covered a lot of ground, but I want to close out with this because I actually feel strongly about.
We're getting
Do either
canceled.
one of you know who Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese is?
Unfortunately, I know both.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got any comments right there that you want to read that's humorous?
Scott says, "Take the onion off like a grown human." Basically, talking about not suing a corporation for what we were talking about.
Yeah, put more onions on there for me.
Also, he said the waitress you were talking to was white, so there's probably a reason she doesn't speak Spanish. But anyway, what do you want to talk about with Caitlin White and Angel Reese?
Caitlin White. Exactly.
Whatever.
Caitlin Clark, but got it right.
That's how much I care.
Yeah. I just hate that the media, once again, sports media, is using two individuals who happen to be white and black to divide the country. It's not about dividing the country. Sports is a very competitive. When you're out there, I don't look at someone who's white or black. I look at someone that I want to win against. And these two individuals are the same. They come from different backgrounds, and they are out there. But there is no place for anyone who is watching in the stands to belittle or speak in a derogatory way towards either one of them. They're competitors. When I grew up, there was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Black guy, white guy. No one talked about race. They talked about athleticism and how competitive the two of them were and how awesome it was to watch. So how we have gotten to a place in sports in 2025 and in life where everyone thinks it's okay to say whatever is in your mind. Not everyone deserves respect and to be treated in a way that we all want to be treated. Society needs to get rid of hatred and bigotry. Plain and simple. Whether you're white, black, Hispanic, respect the individual that you're talking to. If they don't give you respect, knock the shit out of them. But respect goes both ways.
I agree.
What do you want to get off your ship tonight, JD?
Well, I would say exposing, the man behind the Wizard of Oz you keep mentioning from the very beginning, and getting them off the ship. But I guess we never finished that conversation from the very beginning, though. You never really told us who you thought it was.
Next week?
Next week, I guess. I would love to get Angel Reese off my ship, quite honestly. She's all talk.
Never heard of her.
Really isn't nearly as talented as Caitlin Clark at the end of the day, quite honestly. That's how I view it. But no, race should definitely not be. Let's get just this pointless racism off our ship. How about that?
Can you get the ball in the basket? Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
I love that answer, baby. I love that answer, guys.
Put me in, Coach.
Think talent. I want to get DEI off the Robb Crocker Show.
Whoa, there's
And
no
out of my
DEI here.
ship. Because it doesn't matter. I want talent around me. That's why I love having you around, Gonzo. I love having you, JD, because stuff happens. But you do what you got to do to make it right. And you're not around because you are a certain species, a certain gender. You're around because you guys are the best at what y'all do.
Thank you. Don't kick us off your ship.
Well, let's let the Robb Crocker Show settle another day, get to another week, and maybe we won't get canceled, JD.
Absolutely. Until next week, everyone, take care. We'll see you later.
Let it be a shame, 'cause I'm the one who can feel the sun right in the pouring